This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. Well, last week's video was super long because we got a lot of things accomplished, and we hope to get just as much accomplished this week.
And we're hard at it because we have goals. And our goal is to go here. That's the world, and we want to go all the way around it. There's only one way we can get to that goal, and that is to get this monster, this boat completed. And the only way to get it completed in any reasonable amount of time is to work our butts off. And so that's what we're going to do. So off we go to get to that work. Monday, and we're going to do phase 3 of our fairing of the top deck ceiling. And so it shouldn't be too hard. We're not going to be putting any fairing compound underneath where the winches go because there's a big G10 plate that goes there. But the rest of it, from mullion to mullion, we're going to go across here and do right now. And once that's done, we can't sand this because this one will be setting up. So we won't do that till tomorrow, but we got other things we're going to do today. We're going to finish up the rudder box and maybe start looking into the furniture that goes into the salon here. But the first thing I got to do is get to sand the edge here so that we can fair into it. Right now it's got a little hammer blush on it, and also it's just rough, so we need to rough it up too so that it'll stick. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so sanded back about this far. We're only going to overlap about here, and we can get all this done. Also, just for the heck of it, spent about maybe a few seconds on this right here just to see how fast that beam, because you can see how rough this beam is because it's hard to put fairing compound on there fairly smoothly. And this only took a few seconds to get it down to this. Now it's not done, it needs more sanding, but just a few seconds and it took that down. So that just means that the beam here won't be that much work for me. So no big deal there. And a lot of the top here of the cabin is already pretty flat, so that should sand just as easily as this part did, which isn't that bad. This took about 5 minutes for me to sand across this whole thing, so it wasn't hard. Well, Brian here's got our first mix of the day of thickened, well, actually fairing compound mix, and he's getting it onto our mortar board, and I'm going to get to work smearing it on. He's going to keep mixing. Well, the easy part, because I didn't have to do this. So now I got to start going wider all the way down. But the only corner I have to deal with is right here. So shouldn't be too terrible. Just that one little corner. Brian warned me that this particular mix is a little bit looser than the other ones have been. Not quite as peanut buttery. So I'm gonna have to be a little more careful of dropping it on my face and head. But it's not so bad that we have to remix it or something. See, it just dropped a little. Now I have to be careful about that. I'll just put the mortar board underneath. All right, all the way over, all the way top, and all the way across the boat to the other side. So we are done with the first fairing coat of here. Now begins the sanding, but not till tomorrow. We're back on to our rudder box, and we've already tabbed this part when the top was off, but now we've got to reach in and tab our interior portion, which is much harder, but not impossible. You can see our cove is in there now. So Brian's going to mix up the thin, and we're going to put a layer of glass, which we already have cut here, ready to go. It's going to go inside. And so that means the only dummy coves are going to be around this end here. Everything else will be tabbed from the inside, and we'll also tab the outsides of everything as well, though not today. Today, we're just going to get these tabs in here and glue down these two afterwards, and then let that set up for tomorrow. And tomorrow, we'll start wrapping the outside tabs onto this thing, and also gluing the end piece on, which will go on here. So tomorrow for that, and the tabbing around the thing. We have to do some coring as well on the end, so we'll core that out tomorrow, and that should do it. So then we'll start, once this rudder box is done, we're going to go back to the sugar scoop, because now we can start mounting the floor in, the deck portion of it. The mechanism that attaches to this to raise and lower it, we can get all of that done on there. It's just waiting for us to get this box first. But once the box is ready, we can get all the rest of that sugar scoop finished up. Once that sugar scoop is working and the kick-up rudder system's working and all the decks are in, all that good stuff, we'll take the stairs that are over here and we'll move them over there, and we'll start coming into the boat from that side, and we'll start working on the rudder box for the starboard side of the boat. That's it for this today. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we'll get on to phase, I don't know what on this box, 5, 6, the lot of phases, but you're getting close to the end of them. I'd say tomorrow and one more round and we'll be done with this box. And then it can save our boat, or at least our rudder of our boat, when we hit something, because it'll kick up automatically on impact. Save us from orcas maybe, because they seem to like to get your rudder. So we figure if we see orcas along the Portugal coast there, we'll bring our rudders out of the water and either give them nothing to mess with, or we'll stick a piece of styrofoam down in the water, let them bust it off, and then they can be happy and leave. But we can raise these up so when the orcas are around. And then the primary use was neither one of those. The primary use of these is when we want to go in shallow, like we're going up to a river and there's a sandbar in front of the entrance and it's very, very shallow. We can raise our rudders up and just use our throttles to steer the boat with the two props and drive us over the shallows to get into where we want to get into. And so, or for example, in your side of an atoll and there's a lot of bommies around, we can raise the dagger boards up, raise the kick-up rudders up, and we're going to only draft 2 feet, period, the lowest point of the boat. And so we can get in over the tops of a lot of reefs, only drafting 2 feet maximum. So these kick-up rudders are very useful if you're going around the world doing a lot of different environments. If you're not, then you may not need them. But if you are, they're really nice. Yeah, this is a pro tip for any future Shoning boat builders. Keep every bit, well, at least not every bit because there's a lot, but keep as much of this cut off peel ply, this and the thin stuff from the other side, keep them both because they come in really handy for doing all kinds of things we found. So good news is we still have a lot of that stuff on boards that we have to pull off from walls in the heads and all that kind of stuff. So we've got plenty more that we won't run out. But early on we were just throwing it all out, and now we've discovered that it's really useful. Like we're using the thin stuff we peeled off one side right here as a block from that epoxy. Instead of having to cut new and pay for new peel ply, this stuff works great for it. There we go. And then we'll let that set up for tomorrow and go to the final phase. The final countdown, or no, it'll be the second to final. It'll be the penultimate phase. As much as we were dreading lifting that heavy sander up onto the top of the salon, we had to get to it. So we're going to go ahead and try sanding as much of this as we can do. Now, what we're going to plan here is to switch off every minute or so between us so that as the blood runs out of our arms, the other guy takes over. Well, now that we've been sanding this section here for a few minutes, I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on the camera, but there's a few little lines you'll see in here which are low spots. You can feel it when you come across here. But in general, it's very flat already. And if I take a straight edge and come across here, again, I don't know if you can see it, but this is almost perfectly flat across there. And even if I go across one of those gaps, it's very, very small on the gap. So a little hard to do this one because it doesn't bend over there. But so all this really means is that as we fully expected, we would be doing a second coat on here. It'll be a very thin coat comparatively. And it's going to fill in all of these gaps on there. And then we'll sand it one more time after that. And that's probably it. And then we will put a coat of epoxy primer on here. And then we'll check it one more time after that. And if we want to fill a few tiny little spots before we put the next coat of primer on, we'll do that. But probably just 2 coats will get this top of the cabin top here, the ceiling of the cabin top, I should say. Pretty close. One more round, it'll be really close. So it's working out well. Now we're going to take, right now we've been using the bandsaw, and that takes down the big cruddy stuff like you can see over here really quickly. But we'll go back over it with a rotary here and smooth out some of the scratches you get from the bandsaw. Although we probably won't do that until we've put the second coat on. There's no reason to take out scratches when we're going to put another coat on this. But when we sand the second coat, we'll go over it with a finer sandpaper at that point, and it'll all look like this little section here when it's done. And that's good enough for us. Well, you can do a fair job on this with this thing, look.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't have to go in there and clean up, but gets it 70% there. It uses up 99% of me, but it does do it. Well, we've done enough sanding of a ceiling and holding a sander above our heads for one day. We got many hours of it in, so right now my arms are a bit lead-like. So Brian's up there doing a little Dremel work on the mullion top. But we're done with the big sander above our heads. But yesterday we went ahead and glued in the last of the dummy coves in here, so we're ready to put our end piece on here. And so I'm going to get to that right now. But before I can put it on, I've got to core these edges a little bit because their foam's going to stick out. So I'm going to put a little coring on there. The bit was not quite the right size for this, so I just flip it over and do both sides, and that way it gets it all the foam on both, right to the fiberglass on both sides. So that's ready to be filled, and so I think what I'll do is glue this on here and fill these at the same time. Okay, now does it fit? It's a very tight fit. A little too tight. It's tight because this board's angled and this is cut flush right now, but I can angle it. Perfect. All right. It's 84 degrees Fahrenheit right this minute. 84 degrees is the maximum we're allowed to epoxy, this in Celsius. So we can still epoxy right now, but if we wait another half an hour, it's going to get too hot. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up and do it right now. This is our little schedule for our West System epoxy. It tells us how much epoxy hardener, flock, and if we're using micro balloons, what percentages, and by weight. So I don't have to figure it out every time. I can just follow my numbers. So for example, I'm going to mix 100 and actually I'm going to mix 200. So we'll get started here. All right, all set. It's all epoxied on. We'll let that set up, and this box is now sealed up finally. And all we have left to do is all the tabbing around corners everywhere. And that's up next. We're going to work on our kick-up rudder because we've got the box done. And so we want to make sure it's all going to work here. So we're going to start working on the port side sugar scoop here. The first thing we found is that this is a slight angle. So we're going to have to take this gap, get this square, because the box won't be able to come up and down out of it. We're going to sand this back just a bit. It's not a problem because we put almost an inch thick fill here, so we can come back quite a bit and it won't be any problem at all. "53, this is 54 or so.
And the box is
50. So I'm getting close. I'm going to take it a little bit more, but not much more. Had a problem that I've kind of swept under the rug for quite some time, and I just thought I'd deal with it later, and later is now, because the problem I have is if I go up this stairway, I hit my head here as I'm coming up, and that's not good. Now I could dock every single time, but you know that's not going to work. I'm going to hit my head on this. How many times in life? Too many. So there were a couple of options I had besides hitting my head. The first was that we cut this back so that I have headroom coming up these stairs. The problem with that is that this is the walkway right here along the boom, because the boom sits about here, and I need this much walkway to go up and down and work on the boom. So if I cut this back, that's a problem. I could put a hatch here that slides over and closes off this hole, and that's a possibility. It was a possibility, but then I've got a hatch I have to build. I have to trip over it every time I walk back and forth. And so the next question was, is there enough room where the line handling is here to cut this floor back? Because this is the line handling area, which comes to right here. And so that's plenty of room to stand in front of the winches there if I move the stairway back. And if I move the stairway back, I've got more clearance here to get underneath it here. Okay. Now, let's start working on the stairway a little bit. I'm going to cut the stairway back so it'll slide back further and move these stairways in. Now it's giving me more room. And later, if I had to cut this back a couple, 3-4 inches, if I'm still having a little trouble, that wouldn't impact this walkway very much. So, but I may not have to do that. We'll see what the stairs are like after I get these cut. Meanwhile, let's head over to the stairs. Take a look at that. The stairs, all I have to do here is cut this back the same exact amount, and then this whole thing will just slide back. The bottom stair will go in, and more importantly, the top step will be further on, so when I hit that step, I have the little more ceiling room up there. Now the thing is back the same amount, so I have to cut off this exact same amount here. Okay. Put it over there and get a little test fit. Looks pretty good. Now, fortunately this is in the way here, but oh, that's so much better. I'm missing this as I'm coming up. Okay, that was a good decision. Now there's a seat back that's over here like this, a sloped seat back. So this has to continue on out to make the seat here, which means that I have to have a back side of this as well. So I'll be adding a piece to extend this wall out right here, like so. Okay, so that means we can move on. So the next thing up on this is take these stairs back out of here. I'll have to glue that piece on, but I don't need to do it right now. I'll get this, as I'm working this whole bench, I'll deal with this to make sure that it all fits nicely. What I need to do is fair and sand this wall down here and also the floor underneath it here, because it's going to be difficult to fair and paint in this little section right here. Not impossible, but difficult. So it's easier just to take stairs out, get all that done, and then put the stairs in. Now, for later, if I have to work on that, that's okay, because take these stairs out again. Some of our users were suggesting I make these stairs removable, and that's not a terrible idea, but I don't really like removable things because everything is glassed into this boat, doesn't squeak or move, and it adds to the strength of it. So instead what I'm going to do is cut an access hatch in this back side of the stairway, which I can reach from the bike garage. And so I can come in through this access hatch here and get to that track if I need to. And that way everything's glassed in and I don't have to worry about that. That is something else I'll need to do before I mount this in there, is cut this access hatch. I might as well take these out of here right now so that I can work on fairing and sanding this area. Some more good news. Cutting this stairway back solved a bunch of other issues as well. As you can see, I have the track out here for the slider, and the bolts for it are here, here, and way back here. Well, that one is accessible from the bike garage coming in, and because we've cut the stairway back to here, these are accessible in front of the stairs. So if I have to remove this track, I don't have to worry about the stairs being in the way now. The bolts are all accessible even with the stairs permanently in. And the slider when we need to take it off the track for some reason, it has to come out of this, so that comes to here. And then it is about this long to right here. When the stairs were going to come all the way out, that would have kept the slider from tilting out. But since the stairs are now back this far, there's no point, there's nothing stopping the slider from being able to be taken out in case we have to fix it or do something with it. So moving that stair back lets the slider come out, lets me get to all the bolts for the track, makes my head work up here. Really solved a lot of issues. Okay, we started ferrying our stairway area. Shouldn't take too long. We want this faired because we can't put the stairs in here until we paint it, and so one thing at a time. We're going to fair this first, and we're going to get it sanded tomorrow. And then next week we're going to get it painted. And that means that the stairs can be mounted permanently, and we can get to work on the helm and the bench seat out here. One more strip right here. Stairs come up like this, so we've got to tab those back areas still. We'll do that from inside the bike garage. And so right now we just have to get this floor part done. And be ready for sanding tomorrow. We'll finish off sanding the cabin top. We've got maybe 25% left that we haven't sanded. And we'll finish that tomorrow. The reason we stopped that is because I broke my face mask. The straps broke, and I need a full face mask while I'm standing above my head like that because I'm just pouring dust into my face. So a new one's coming today. So tomorrow we'll be ready to sand. So we can sand this and that cabin top tomorrow. They'll both need a second round of fairing. And we'll get to that on Monday. Actually, no. Monday is an American holiday, Memorial Day. So we won't be working Monday, but that's okay. We're going to swap and work Thursday, our day off. So we're not losing any days, but we have to take off Monday because we're not allowed to work, zoning reasons. At least we're not allowed to make any noise, and sanding makes noise. So we'll just work Thursday when we can make noise. It'd be nice to be able to work on this bench that goes, there's a slope here and a bench. Get these in there, get the seat back up in the helm area done, and probably today we're going to start working on the pedestal for the helm that holds the steering and all of the chart plotters and all that good stuff. And so because we won't be able to work in here anymore, we'll go downstairs and start putting that pedestal together. It's kind of like the rudder boxes. It's a separate piece to start with that we build, and then we come mount it in. So we can build that out of the boat. So that's the plan for later this afternoon, the helm pedestal. All right, comes the final batch. All right, now I like it. This is the inside of the stairway that we're getting ready to mount in there, and there's still some finish work we haven't done on it. We've got some exposed foam edges here on the back side, so we're going to need to tab these. And then we've cut out an opening here for access from the bike garage behind here, but that means there's exposed foam here, so we're going to have to core that out and fill that as well. So I'll start by getting these things cored, and then we'll round these edges off so that we can tab those as well. What is the lack of that? I've been working on the console for the helm. Here, I'll show you a picture of that. That thing. And we want to do something we could construct down out of the boat ahead of time, because we don't want to cause dust and stuff up where we just did some fairing on the helm stairs. So we've gotten all these HC pieces out. Helm console. And we're going to start by creating the main box, which is this huge piece in the middle here, and then these two side ones, and this one sits on top like so, and that gives the main structure of the box. Now there's a lot more pieces to go after that, but this will create the start of the structure. And so we've got this all sanded and wiped down, and the peel ply all pulled. You've seen that a million times from us. You don't need to see more peel ply pulling. And now we're going to go ahead and put top and bottom on all at once, and then we'll clamp it like so across the top and bottom. And we've got, you know, several clamps up the side here. So that should get us our start. And so we want the biggest parts together first, and then we'll continue building the smaller portions onto it. Not all today, of course. This will be a multi-stage process, but got to start somewhere, and this is where we're starting. So Brian's mixing up some thickened epoxy, and one thing is I'm a little worried about is this door that goes inside of here. That's the access hatch from the back that lets you get inside to the steering that's in there, because you have the steering chain that's going to be going up to the wheel right behind there. So you're going to have access to that. I just cannot find this oval cut piece anywhere, and I'm afraid they didn't mark it and that we ended up using it as an offcut somewhere. So that just means we'll have to cut a new one. Not the end of the world, but I'll look around a little bit, make sure that we haven't misplaced it, but I don't think so. I think we'll have to make one. It's all right. We'll just lay it down behind it and trace, and it'll pretty easy cut. That's the start. Now, not very thick, but there's a column that comes out right here. It goes up the center, and that's what the chain is actually inside of, I believe. So you have access to the top gear up there, but it runs down through this column to come out through the floor. And this exits down into the cabin, and it runs along the cabin, the steering runs along the cabin roof and over to the side. You'll be seeing that in the future. And that concludes what we're going to get done today. Now we have an overcast day, so we decided to skip our plan to work on the interior of the boat and get to work on the cabin top. So we've got Brian up here working with a drywall sander, basically, something that we can not lean over so much when we're standing up on the roof doing this. And then Jeff's over on the torture board, smoothing things out, but it's getting there. So our goal today is to put the second fairing on this cabin top because we needed a day that is not too sunny, and looks like that's what we got. Because we still want to get to this painting of this top as soon as possible, and that means I'd like to get it painted in May and June here. As long as we have enough, cooler days, we can get this painted and protected with some UV protected paint there from Alexial. Now we have received our paint, so we're ready to go. So it's just a matter of weather now, and we've got a little bit today, so we're getting to work.
We'll call that a day.
You know Jeff, he comes and helps us all the time, and just want to thank him for helping sand the roof. This is one of the nastier things to do. As you can see, we were tag teaming this. We go 45 seconds. At the beginning we went 1.5 minutes, but by the time we get to the end, we're like 45 seconds and the switch off. Because it's hard holding that, and you have to move all the time.
And not dig in.
And not dig in, because if you turn it sideways, you dig in. Now, fortunately, this is the first coat. So any spots that we did have a little bit of a tiny dig in, we're going to fill that with the light coat we're going to put on next. But we won't be able to use the belt sander for the next sanding. It's just for this first one where we want to knock it down really fat, get it pretty fast, and get it pretty flat. But the next coat after we put it on, we're going to have to use just the pneumatic orbital and get it lightly with a less of a gritty sandpaper and get it nice and smooth. And they'll probably have to take the longboard on it a bit as well by hand. But this knocks it down really fast to a pretty flat surface for the next round of fairing. But that's going to conclude our week and Saturday, which is today, but this is the end of the week for us. So I'll be off to editing tomorrow for you guys, and we'll see you in a few minutes when I check in with the Admiral to roll up the end of the video. But stick around for that, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
This week we got a lot of work done and ended the week on Saturday with a massive amount of sanding. Sanding morning, noon, and night. And thank you so much to Jeff for his help doing that. So today is Memorial Day. We are at home editing this week's video and having a restful and thoughtful day.
But tomorrow we're going to get back to the lot, and we're going to work 5 days straight. Since we took off this Monday, we're going to make it up by working our day off on Thursday, our normal day off. And we got a lot planned. We're going to get that helm
further along. Hopefully the stairs will get glued in. We'll find out. We got to get it faired further and sanded further and painted. But by the end of the week, we hope to get that helm stairway glued in, and then we're going to start working on the rest of the helm. And we may also fair the inside of the top deck roof there in the salon. And if the weather cooperates, and this we have no idea, but if we have any overcast days, we may get another layer put upon the top deck. Now, we sanded the top deck on Saturday. I laugh because all we did is sand. So it's ready to get that next coat. All we have to do is give it a cleaning and we can start putting it on. So we'll see if we get to that next week. But thank you all for spending this week with us and sticking through to the end of the video. We appreciate you guys.
Yes, and thank you to all of our patrons listed here. We appreciate you and could not do this without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And the next video we'll get started working on tomorrow. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.